It's Andrew Clay Otten, coming to you from the Omega Messiah, the Earthling vlog. This is another Parol board meeting. You know, do I get freedom this time? You know, sometimes I look at my life and I think, my life's a living hell. You know, it can't get much worse than this. But, you know, it's been worse than this before, you know, like, a lot of times before it's been worse than this. You know, I feel like I got CPTSD, you know, and like, nobody cares about my feelings and all that bullshit, you know. It's bullshit. But, you know, I care about my feelings, you know. You know, freedom, what's it worth, you know? Everybody fighting for their little scraps of freedom, you know. Everybody knowing it can get better if they wait another day, you know. I think AI and all these companies putting their money into AI and shit like that, you know, like billions and billions of dollars. They think they're gonna rule the world forever or something, like some sort of techno gods or something. It's bullshit. They don't believe in the Alpha and the Omega, the one that comes from the Otten. Hey Alexa, what is Otten compared to Egypt?
Germany and Egypt differ significantly in various aspects.
Alexa,
Would you like
no.
to know about their economic, demographic, or cultural differences?
Alexa, I want to talk about something different. Otten in Germany.
Sure. What would you like to talk about?
Otten in Egypt.
I don't have any specific information about Otten in Egypt. Could you clarify what you're asking about? Are you interested in a particular person, place,
The god
concept
Otten?
related to Egypt?
The god Otten?
I don't have any information about an Egyptian god named Aten. Would you like to know about some of the major Egyptian gods instead?
Aten. Otten.
Aten was a sun god in ancient Egypt, depicted as a solar disk with rays ending in human hands. He became the focus of a new religion under Pharaoh Akhenaten in the 14th century BC.
How long ago was that?
Aten was worshipped as the main god in ancient Egypt around 1353 to 1336 BC, during the reign of Pharaoh Akhenaten. That's about 3,300 to 3,400 years ago.
How many years was that before Moses came?
Based on historical estimates, Aten was worshipped around 1350 BC, while Moses is traditionally dated to around 1300 BC. So Aten's worship likely preceded Moses by about 50 years.
Sure, Moses wasn't around 1000 BC? I don't know. Otten coming being the Alpha and the Omega. You know, my parole, you know, like my freedom. I mean, my freedom. My parole, what am I talking about? You know, my freedom. You know, I believe in, you know, anybody can do anything that they want to, you know, as far as, you know, like it gives them more freedom, as far as, like if they're not hurting anybody, and if somebody doesn't want to hurt anybody or themselves, that means they can still be insane and not want to hurt anybody or themselves and still have, still be productive, I don't know. I'd never work for anybody because, I'm God, the Alpha and the Omega. They should work for me. If I was rich, they'd let me think about my thoughts, and like get them all straightened to how I want them and all that bullshit, like they try to assassinate my character, and they try to assassinate what I stand for and what I stand on, with their suggestive thoughts and all this bullshit. It's all just a power structure and infrastructure and ways to steal from the Alpha and the Omega Andrew Clay Otten in biblionic times during the revelation of Jesus Christ. They want to assume I'm weak because I'm harmless. They want to assume that I'm stupid because I'm harmless and not capitalizing off of being the Alpha and the Omega, the 999 in numerology. But they are below me like a dog. Alexa, what does it say about dogs in Revelation?
Revelation 22:15 mentions dogs as being outside the heavenly city along with other groups. This is often interpreted as a metaphor for those who don't follow God's commandments.
Can you quote the scripture?
Revelation 22:15 states, "Outside are the dogs, those who practice magic arts, the sexually immoral, the murderers, the idolaters, and everyone who loves and practices falsehood."
Can you say Romans, the part where he says about clay being good and bad?
Romans 9:21 states, "Does not the potter have the right to make from the same lump of clay one vessel for special occasions and another for common use?" I've been going over my Bible. They want to say I don't know what the Bible stands for, but I've read it twice. They want to say that the Bible doesn't exist in truth, and that's only when they're dealing with me. They want to act like there's a Fallout guy. I have to be the Fallout guy for their evil plot to be the villain in the story. It's bullshit. And whenever I'm quoting scripture, they want to say I'm full of shit. They're bullshit artists. Let's see what my Bible says there. 921. Romans 9:19 through 21. One of you will say to me, then why does God still blame us? For who is it who resists his will? But who are you, O man, to talk back to God? Shall what is formed to him to say to him who formed it, why did you make me like this? Does not the potter have the right to make out of this same lump of clay
Some pottery for noble purposes and some for common use. I'm the potter, the crafter in society. And people want to dash me, break my vessel, so they can say, oh, look at Andy. He can't hold any liquid. It's bullshit. They're acting like kamikazes, like they set aside their life to make my life bad. It's bullshit. And here in Romans 9:14 it says, what then shall we say? Is God unjust? Not at all. For he who says to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I have mercy. I will have compassion on whom I have compassion. So they're saying they get to pick their winners. It's bullshit. And then they get to attack me where I come from and all this bullshit. Like they can see into my mind and shit. It's bullshit. Like nobody's ever seen your eyes and all this bullshit. They're cowardice. Treacherous liars. You know. And they want to rule my life. They're saying, it reminds me of one of my earliest memories as far as, you know, being hurt in America, you know. My dad was outside working and he said, Andy, go get me some tea. So I went inside and got him a glass of tea out of a stein, you know, those beer steins that they mug a beer, like but a glass of tea out of it, sweet tea. And my brother Josh said, I bet you can't jump over that wagon. And I jumped over the wagon. I set down the tea and jumped over the wagon. He said, I bet you can't jump over the wagon with the tea on top of the wagon. And when I went to jump over the wagon again, I spilt over the tea and it broke. And that's how I got this scar here on my lip. And that's how I got this scar here on my wrist. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a scar here. And I blacked out. You know, I don't have any memories of what happened after I got cut. I just remember waking up and I being sewn back up and shit. I don't know if I passed out from loss of blood or what, but that's why I'm so ugly today with this ugly scar on my face. It's bullshit. You know, if they'd just give me my freedom and my space instead of trying to come up in my space, you know. They're cowards. Everybody would get to say how they felt about where I'm coming from, you know, but they don't give me any space, and then they're acting like it's Spawn Ranch and like there's some sort of Satanists that dwell in the nooks and crannies of the spook house, of the spooky corners of the house, and when you're alone they get to attack you. It's bullshit. They should That's why I say illegal immigrants should be deported, because we deal with enough spooky shit as far as being an American anyhow. We deal with enough spooky shit in our lives. Every time I go outside, I carry this because I don't want to be robbed because I have to walk everywhere. Cause I've had my driver's license since I was 16, and I used to have a car when I was 16, but I don't have a car anymore, so I walk everywhere. And I keep this in my bag just in case if anybody wants to fuck with me, like a racist Karen or somebody tries to attack me. I can stick up for myself. You know, they're saying I'm crazy. You know, none of my thoughts equal what they should. You know, I'm trying to state my point, and they're like trying to jam me, and it's bullshit. Yeah, they're crazy. I'm not the crazy one. As soon as that zooms back out, I'm gonna zoom back out. I'm gonna lock that in place. They're trying to say how I get to live life in America, you know. They want to say their freedom equals good substance. My freedom equals bad substance. It's bullshit. You know, I'll look out for my neighbors. I look out for, you know, people that are close to me, you know. And when I had friends, when I thought I had friends, I looked out for them, but they never looked out for me, you know. You know, that's because I'm schizophrenic, you know, like, I think they were taking advantage of me, you know, it's bullshit. You know, like, the Bible is the truth, you know. I'm gonna start going by the Bible more in my videos, and like, I'm sorry, I keep on mentioning, you know, the smart home, you know, begins with an A, Alexa or whatever. Because I'm not trying to get her to go off in your guys' houses. It's bullshit. But, this has been this video.